perspectives, different views, one voice.
Welcome to the Perspective Podcast. This is a continuation of our debate on the modern black man in society, and we're picking up from where we left off.
What are they seeing out there that gives them that representation of that young black man? Or that gives them a representation of something that they could think?
And that works when you say, we were speaking about when I guess something tragic happens in a community, they'll bring someone who's been from that community and says, well, look, I've done this. I've been raised in that community and, I've achieved those sort of things. And that... You said
to me that don't work.
That's what
to
you
me
said.
that
You
don't
said
work.
that doesn't work. But it has to. But what you're saying, because you said you grew up in an area where you just saw drug.
But the other thing that I said I saw. The other thing that I said I saw.
For some reason, so your perception may have been warped if you saw people in other areas, doing other things. To some, that can work to some degree. That can work in that respect.
I get what you mean, but I think. What I'm saying is, there's nothing wrong with that person coming on TV to talk about their experiences, but they need to understand what they're putting out there. Because if you just come to say that, I've been through that, I made it, there's no excuse or whatever, you are not helping the situation.
So it's how the message is conveyed.
What I said is that if I am in that position, I can't talk for these youths that are going through or whatever's going on now because I do not fully understand it. I don't live that life.
Yeah.
I've got that's not my life. How can I possibly talk about it as some sort of expert? No, I can't.
Do you know what?
Do you know what I mean? So me just going out there to say that, I grew up in this area, so, I know a lot of the thing. When I was growing up, no, that's how long ago. Things have moved on. You have to fully understand that in order for you to go out there and put something out there, which then the youth kind of see that, okay, so... Anyway,
do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? There's obviously two things I want to say. Obviously, to answer that, first of all, I would say I agree with Kojo. In realistic terms, that doesn't work because when they do that, when they bring a quote unquote, let's say someone who's come from the ends or let's just say a celebrity. Let's say now they get a positive celebrity to talk at a school or just to talk at wherever. And to show these guys a positive image or whatever, it doesn't work because, to be honest, let's be real. We've all been used to that age.
Yeah. How do you know it doesn't?
No. I'm talking about. I'm talking.
Question.
No. I'll show you why. I'm talking on a daily. It don't work because the first thing that's gonna come into their head is, mate, I just saw my friend just get shot last week. I'll go home tonight. I'm not eating food. My mum don't give a fuck about me. What the fuck is that person that you just brung in to come and talk to me about going to do for me right now? What you're just showing me is an image that looks so far ahead of me right now. Because remember, they're 17, 16 in the trenches. The first thing that's going to come to their head is, Idris Elba ain't in the trenches. Anthony Joshua ain't in the trenches. Do you get what I'm saying? Raheem Sterling, what the fuck? He might have been from the trenches. This might have been this. Mate, who's in the trenches with me is that person that I see right next to me. So my brothers, the elders, so it's the people who you see daily, yeah? That's why they will still get that draw of getting that young person to come in and shop for them or do crime for them or whatever. Because them Anthony Joshua's, these Raheem Sterlings, they're just coming into the school. And the thing is, a broken youth knows that. They know you're getting paid to come in and talk to me. Or this is for media exposure. They know there's an ulterior motive. They're not stupid. They're going to think about, do you really care about me? Because you're talking all this nice stuff, but, mate, you could have got a white person from a whole different walk of life to come and do this. Because what you're doing is just showing me, yeah, I can make it, but right now, I'm not feeling like I can make it. And how are you going to get me from A to B to C to D to F to all the way to Z? Because that's where you are right now. You're not even on B, C. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's why I don't work on a day-to-day. All it does is, for me, it gives a full sense of hope.
You think so?
Yeah, a lot of the time.
No, I can't say that. You're going...
I don't know.
No. Listen, I'm talking about the majority. So there'll be, what you lot are thinking of is the people that will be like, yeah, I can be a rapper. Cool. Yeah, but let's do the mathematics in the classroom, yeah? Let's say a footballer. Let's say a footballer. Let's do the mathematics of black boys. And how many men do you know became footballers and a footballer would have came to their school and spoke to them? Do you get what I'm saying? And how many men, realistically, did the road thing? Or how many man realistically did a low-level job? This is what I'm trying to say. So when I say a full sense of hope, it's, yeah, you can aspire to this. That's what you should be aiming for. But realistically, in their heads is, how am I going to get there? You're not giving them a structured plan to get there. All you're telling them is work hard, work hard, work hard. Mate, we all work hard.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
But
so all you're doing is you're almost teasing them. Like football. A lot of men didn't work on a life plan. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And that's what I mean. That's what I said, realistic. There's an ideal world. In an ideal world, yeah, bro, everyone's listening to them. Everyone wants to be a footballer. Everyone wants to be the top boxer in the world. All of this, but what's it done for a lot of men?
So you're saying what they're doing is, they're giving a rhetoric.
You're giving them dreams.
Yeah.
Something to dream about. But for a black man, and this is what black parents, especially African and Caribbean, you got to remember, that's what they try to beat out of us when they hear us go, we want to be rappers or football, because they're thinking, wait, hold on, I'm hearing dreams, not a career. Yeah. That's dreams. Yeah. Like what you're saying to us is dreams right now. We want to hear what you're going to do in 15 years.
100%.
How?
100%.
Now, because what you're telling me is, out of all the school, you came to talk.
All this curriculum.
School, like you came to talk to your school. There's how many people in your school? 1,500. Okay, you're going to tell me there's going to be about 3 people in that year that make it as professional footballers. That's it. How are you going to be that?
But
you see what I'm saying? The realistic
it's true.
Of it
is
not realistic.
It is a dream.
It's selling you. And then what happens is you deviate from what you really need to do in life to get to be successful. So it doesn't allow you to become an entrepreneur or to think for yourself. It allows you to just dream. Do you understand?
So
wait. There's nothing wrong with dreaming, but you got to still support your dreams. You understand? To get to where you want. Chris, that's what I'm trying to say.
But would you not say this is a program mentality? It's been programmed.
It's not even about programming.
No.
You got to look at the social condition.
The reason why I'm saying program, Kojo was saying a point that where when you go to school, especially when you're young, your career, when you were young, when you're 17, you didn't have a clue there was black people or this career even existed, right? They programmed this system, especially in our generation, not to understand what we're supposed to do after we finish. Majority of us, when we finish college, secondary school, we didn't have a clue what we were doing, right? So it's a program mentality.
But much of that I think down to the schools.
Exactly. We went to some really
no.
It's not okay. Look, can I come in quickly? Because I think even the point that you made a really relevant point, and I've even seen it from that side of things. But I think with the point that you made, it then goes back to representation, and a lot of the times when they and it adds to the program, right? Because you need to understand this. When the school is looking for a positive black man image. What they look for is in sports. They look for sports, they look for musicians or whatever. They don't come and look for the black man lawyer that's got his own firm. They don't come and look at the black man architect or whatever. Because they know in regards to what is out there in the media, this is what a lot of the kids that want to aspire to us in their dream. And this is what we could sell to them. So yes, when you say it's a combination of both, and that program is that school is going to choose that footballer or that whatever things that we're meant to be good at that musician, to bring that person to the school to say that, look at him, let him talk to you about the environment that he's from or whatever. No. But even growing up, and a few people will think to this, we had a lot of friends that were on all these youth academies. Right now, if you want to check from that 10 years ago, whatever, how long to now, you understand where they are, because this type of dream that is being sold, it's a point, and it's a programming to a certain extent, because who's making these choices to pick this representation for these young men?
I'll give you an example. Part of me when I was growing up, I could have become a professional footballer. As I was going football, as I was going training, I didn't.
Remember, I said that's what ACC.
I didn't have a clue. I didn't have a clue how to go to the training ground. I didn't have anyone to support me. You understand? And at the same time, I didn't.
That is the key thing.
That's what I'm saying. It's a program system, because when I started growing up, I realized how to get to LM. I'm thinking, I never knew that when I was young. And then I had to depend on my friend that made it, on his parent, to get to the training. Because imagine from Camberwell, going over to Lewisham in a rush hour. You can't make it because my training starts at 7. So because of that, and then especially the guy that got killed in Eltham, Stephen Lawrence.
Yeah.
So because of that, my mom got scared and said, stop going there. Luckily, I had an alternative, which was I studied interior architecture, right? Which was perfectly good. I didn't know how to clue. For example, you have this internship, right? Apprenticeship. I didn't have a clue what was. Our school never supported us.
Yeah, they were not readily available at that time, though.
But it was. It was there. It was
I'm not
there.
saying it wasn't there. I'm saying it's
Had
not
it.
as in where it is now.
What he's saying is like whatever images were put to us was picked. It's all by design. It's all by design.
Which is all
no. But Ali, you make a point that I don't necessarily agree with to a certain extent in regards to like you trying to be when you had that football career and you could have made it, and I believe you could have.
Yeah.
The problem that you have with, and I'm only saying this from this amateurish football that I do, and some of the issues I've seen within our community.
Yeah.
Now, the problem why you have, there's always the black boys, most of the time, they're more skillful, more agility, more pace than the Caucasian boy or whatever you want to put it, right? However, the benefit that Caucasian male or that white boy has is that the parents will take them to training every day, take them to matches, right?
Yeah.
When we talk about in our situation, the reason why a lot of these people didn't make it because the parents were working. How's your parents going to quit that job and take you? So when we talk about programming and stuff here, we always have to talk about environment and see what is within that environment that ensures that we might not be able to get to certain positions. So that's not necessarily to say that you wouldn't have made it. I believe if you had the support, because I coach kids and I take kids to Saturday, Sunday football matches, and I'm calling the parents. Some of the parents don't even know where the kids are. No. And this is a very young age. Yeah. So if you're saying that to me, then what problem do we have in our community? So even if you have that kid that's multi-talented, unless I give up everything that I am as a parent, as someone that has a professional work and family or whatever not, to support that child is never going to make it. But it's not because that child didn't fit. It's not because there is barriers. And I'm not saying there isn't barriers or whatever not to entry. But the main thing is that child doesn't have that support. So when we're talking about these programming and stuff, we have to look at that from that specific example that you picked. For me, it's more down to support, more down to any program.
Then the support arguing to us that our parents came here to survive, to work and then educate us and say to us, go to school and study. That's the only career that we can have. But if our parent, when they came here, had the opportunity, like what we have now, right, would that support not be there? Would you not argue that? So would you not say that within that area? Would you not say that that's what they plan it? That's how they plan it for our parent to be in that situation? Because our parent came here without speaking English. They have to they have to learn how to speak English. You understand? That's alone. That's an argument that can go on for long. And then at the same time, they've got the degree, they've got all of that, but they can't come and embed it in this country because they have to go back again as a cleaner or whatsoever. That's another argument there. How's our parents going to support us?
So you're saying the programming is that in regards to qualifications that our parents had, that they could have ascertained a certain position in these. In this country, which would have then not led to them having to do, 2-3 jobs, which would then mean that they could support you in the career that you want. Is that what you're saying when you mean that program? That's what you mean.
I'll give you an example. Europeans, when they come here, they've got education, they've got degree, they can speak English, their language. As soon as they come here, what our parents went through, they don't go through that.
But the world is a different place now.
No. I'm giving an example.
Okay.
They will never done what our parent done.
Because they are Europeans.
There you go. So then you come back again. That's what they plan. That's the plan, what they want.
But you know everything you lot are saying, you lot are kind of like going, like if we're going back to it, you're kind of proving everything what I'm saying is right with the whole full sense of hope thing, because this is what I'm trying to say. You're talking about stuff like the support for the you know what I mean, the young black boys and all that. These are the realistic things that's what I was always trying to say.
That is what gets you to that
like you said, you could have been a footballer. But this is what I'm saying. I'm talking about seeing this from day-to-day life, like growing up as a young black man. Like we could have all been whatever. You see what I'm saying? And this is what they put into schools and that. You lot shouldn't be out here killing each other because this and that made it out of the hood. One, why are you telling me how he made it out of the hood? I don't know what his social conditioning was. I don't know what his parents were like. I don't know what kind of areas he grew up in. Like, you're telling me he's from this and that estate. Mate, I never grew up in that estate. Did you grow up in my estate? Just because he grew up in an estate don't mean it's the same estate. I don't know what's happening in his household. I don't know what he's getting educated at home. I don't know if they let him out of the house, because people act like, say, there ain't people from the ends that didn't just stay at home, go straight to school, come back, curfew. Yeah, of course, you could be anything you want to be when you don't socialize with no one outside.
Yeah.
Bro, we was all out there. If you're out there playing as kids, doing all of that,
the key point is
you got to be part of your environment.
There were no parents. For some people, they could just come and go as they please.
So when
at whatever time.
Exactly. So when you're telling me, this man made it from this end, bro, I don't know his struggle. His whole lifestyle is different from mine. So that's why I say it's that, yo, why are you telling me about this rapper that made it out, or this fam? Some people, they also exaggerate their struggles to make it look like a rags to riches story.
Yeah,
because
everyone loves that, innit?
Yeah, in the media, it's rags to riches. Like, it's always that, like,
fairy tale stories.
And that's what I'm saying.
Like these Cinderellas and that, man.
Like, especially after the whole 50 thing. Obviously, that just differently. And also another point is, you asked earlier, like, why the media is representing us like this. Do you understand?
Yeah.
As in why they're doing this. Yeah. The reason why I personally feel like why they're doing it is obviously, this is where some people will call it conspiracy theory or whatever, but this ain't for me a conspiracy theory. Like, for me, it's just a common sense theory now. Like, if we look at the whole divide and conquer and things from years, like common sense will tell you where obviously people could call it a classist society or colorist society or racist society or whatever, but there's going to be self-preservation here.
Yeah.
Like, we live in Europe. The majority of people in Europe are white Caucasians.
Yes.
Yeah? All right, cool. So we've got Asians, we've got South Americans, we've got blacks, whatever. We can break it all down. Yeah. Mate, look, from early, we was bottom of the totem pole, yeah? Cool. Now we're going to ask each other, like, why is the media doing this? Mate, the media is controlled by the people at the top. Yeah. For them to be at the top, common sense will tell you that someone's going to have to be at the bottom. Yes. The easiest people to be at the bottom is the people that's already at the bottom. Keep them down there. Yeah. Like, it's not. We're not going to try and break down people on a second level.
All of a sudden, so
they can go, because this ain't going to be like that. Where are we going to break down people on a second level so they can go down the sort side? No, all it is dismantle everything the blacks try to do to progress. Dismantle it. Once you dismantle it, they stay there. That's just common sense.
And then it adds to the whole conversation of black people don't stick together. Because the minute that you say that, and the minute that you say that around a young person, forget them being stamping on you. The minute that you say that, and you say that around your kids or around a young person, it supports the whole agenda. Because you're saying to that child from early, the people that look like you will not help you. They will not look out for you. So to avoid them. This is what you're saying.
No, I'm saying, I was only going to add that point that, I guess it comes back and supports that theory of, if you want a community to destroy itself, if you want to destroy a community, you allow that community to destroy itself.
And obviously,
and you do that through all those different sort
of
tactics.
You do it through the most strongest person, which is the patriarchal male. Obviously, you break down the male, and then obviously you break down who supports him, which is the woman. Yes. So obviously now in society, we've got, as we all know, a lot of black men and black women that fight amongst each other, which obviously causes division amongst black people. Black men are always commenting and arguing about what a black woman should do in society and all of that. And black women complain saying, all right, well, cool, but black men ain't holding us down. But then obviously black men will go, all right, cool. Yeah, you're saying we ain't holding you down, but they will go, but look how much things have been done to us throughout the years. So obviously it's hard for us. Cool, all of that. Yeah. But there comes to a time where we're going to have to, see what you were saying about how, what you say to your children about how a black man, it can show like, all right, you're saying a black man aren't helping each other. But for me, it comes down to, all right, we know now, and we can identify the struggles that's been put against us. So what I'm saying is, it's not even just about helping each other, it's about helping yourself. You want to help each other, cool. But what are you doing to help yourself? How can you help someone when you ain't even helped yourself? Like, you're down here, and you're actually thinking on a low-level frequency. You're not even communicating with your own family properly. You're not communicating with the people closest to you properly. You're not elevating yourself. You're actually happy to be where you are. You're complacent. Yeah. You're complacent with life. People are depressed. and they're not trying to get out of the depression. People are struggling, they're not trying to get out of the struggle, yet they want to start helping someone. How are you going to help someone when
you can't help
they're in
yourself.
the same?
But I think
sense.
that what I would like to bring it back to this whole modern, the idea of this modern day black man and their representation. I think for me, through our conversations, we mentioned someone, Raheem Sterling. And I'll tell you why what Raheem Sterling did was very important. Now, Raheem Sterling is in a slight position of power because people listen to him because of how he's a good footballer. Yeah. So you have a platform, right? Yeah. And then I'm not sure if you follow there was a story about these two Man City youth. Both of them bought their mum a house. One of them was black and one of them was white. Yeah. And how it was reported in the media. Right? So how it was reported in the media, the black youth player had a negative connotation to it, right? And the white youth player was like, yeah, fantastic. He's been able to buy his mum a house or whatever. Not, I think it was something about a black youth player who's hardly played again, splashes out on their whatever thing for thing. Yeah? And the reason why that's important, and the reason why I'm bringing that to the point, because there's how many black footballers past and present, that have that platform. Yeah. And who said anything? No one. Yeah, he came out and he said something. And then everyone was like, yeah, of course. And this is the problem that we have. When you are in a position of power or influence for each one of us, when you stand there at work and they are saying this about this black person that just came into your workplace and making these comments about them, and you don't stand up and you don't say anything, this is where we go wrong. Yeah. Because the people that have influence, you need to change that agenda. Yeah. Because he was able to bring the newspapers in line for them to come out and actually debate this. Why do we do this? Yeah. Right. Because a lot of the times people do things, as she said, it's been programmed for such a long time that you just get employed by these things and you're an editor and you just spin these stories. Because that's what sells. This is what it's in. So you get doing it. The minute that someone brings you in line, and it happens with people that we know as well. And we talk about our environment. They come from a certain environment. If you're talking about racism and why it's better now, you can imagine their great-great-grandparents, what they used to say to their parents, and how that has cascaded on. To how that has, you got what I mean? So we are really in a position, if you're in a position of influence, whatever position that you're in, if someone is saying something and you're there thinking, oh, they shouldn't be saying that or whatever, you need to correct that because that's the only way it's going to change those narratives.
Kojo, would you not say in that kind of aspect, would you not say it's fair?
What is fair?
That what modern black men has, because I'm a perfect example at work. I get laborers, people coming in and out. There was one situation whereby these two black boys, they were away for 2 hours working. And then, obviously, I've just been in the company for a few months now. But obviously, I'm still in management. So there's this other guy which does the logistics side. He monitors them because I'm more in the office. I come in and observe. So he monitors them because he observed that they were out for 2 hours. Previously towards that situation, I was speaking to them. I closed the door, and then one of our team saw that I was talking to them specifically because one of them was late, and I was telling to the young lad. I said, you know what? If you want to succeed here, you want to come in well, make sure you come on time. Do not be late. I'm just warning you now, just giving you a head up. He said, thank you for that, and then he went off. 2 days after that, both of them was working and then were hiding for 2 hours. So then
they were what? Hiding.
Well, they were.
So they're not working.
No, the building is massive. The project is massive. You can imagine.
So you mean
that.
It was people couldn't see them, or they were hiding?
No,
what
they just couldn't see them. They were just.
So they were working, but you just couldn't see that.
They were working. For 2 hours. Okay. So I think the other guy that knew me, that my team, he was exaggerating that they were away for 2 hours. I think he was less than that. So moving forward, he just made the decision straight away to say, I'm going to get rid of them too. They're not good enough. So the reason why I didn't interact, one, because I didn't know the situation that deep, right? I couldn't defend them. I didn't know the situation that deep. Then I said, all right, cool. And I observed the situation after they've left. I said, no, what? This is not right. But then the next time now, there's a new guy now that came, which is a black man. He came, as soon as because I do induction with them as well. As soon as he came, I pulled him aside and said, know what? Before you're coming in this company, make sure, one, you're on time. Make sure, two, you're doing what you need to do. And observe, keep quiet. He took that on board, and now because of that,
Or did you say make sure that free you're not hiding?
well,
Because
no. What I meant,
You gave him a heads up.
I gave him an update ahead up. The hiding part, what I said to him, if you can't find anyone, go to the office and look for me or anyone. So if I see you, I know you have come to me. If anything happens, I can represent you. Since then, I thought to myself, I did something well there because I don't want this to repeat again. As you mentioned to your case, what you were saying just a minute ago, is that we see situation that is happening and we don't stand up for it. And I believe personally for me, I speak up for myself. When I'm in an environment where I'm always making sure that regardless I'm in it wrong or I'm in it right, I make sure I stick up for one of us because it has to happen. Because if I'm in a position where I've got the power at the moment, why should I not do it?
No, I think the comment that I made about hiding, it was just to do with, it was tongue-in-cheek, innit? Because really, from how you've explained the situation, they were not necessarily hiding. No. It's just that whoever is meant to be the supervisor could not see them. Yes. So it doesn't necessarily mean that these people were not working or they're not hard working or whatever. No. Yeah. And that's the type of connotation. I'm just saying, look, at the end of the day, we are in a difficult position because a lot of the time when you are progressing up there, mostly when you look around, it might just be you that is getting into those high positions. You might find other black men might be below you trying to go on that same path. I'm just saying that I'm not saying we're always going to get it right, but we always have to think about this in these situations because if we don't stand up and say anything, then this agenda will just keep going on. And you can't get into that position of CEO and all of a sudden want to be doing this, or all of a sudden they say a joke around you and you're like, oh, you can't say that, that's racist. But all this time you've been accepting these jokes. You've been there laughing with them.
You're supposed to stop it straight.
You've been there laughing with them, and all of a sudden, you want to put your foot down. That don't make no sense. They'll be like, oh, what? This guy's acting brand new. All of a sudden, you get into this position and you think you're thin.
Of course.
Hence the reason why you have to dictate that. You have to dictate this narrative. You have to be in a position to understand. And obviously, they use this whole thing about woke or whatever. No, whether you're woke or you're not woke, whatever it is. I'm just saying that in these positions, you need to understand that when we talk about representation, because we shouldn't just be looking all the way out there for people to represent us or who is out in the media, whatever. No, we are representation of the next generation in regards to our lives, people that come into contact with us, young people that see us, they see us as a representation, right? Yeah. So we can't just now be putting, because it's always, you have these groups, you have a conversation and everyone's waiting for this type of savior. It's almost like Martin Luther King reincarnated needs to come so that all black people band together. It's not going to work like that, right? If everyone is doing a little bit in their own position, then everything will come together. Yeah. That's all it is.
Yeah. You know what it is? I think for me, I feel like I've been guarded from a lot of things. I don't feel like I've been, because it's interesting the views that Kodj has had and Chris has had as well, you know, in terms of like perceptions and how certain things are portrayed. And I don't know whether it's down to just me not necessarily paying attention to certain things or just completely shutting my mind off, or at the same time, I've been fortunate enough to have people around me that have helped me elevate to certain things, you know, like, you know, without saying too much, my auntie's a lawyer, so that helped build forge connections for me with other people within the profession. Nice, so I had someone
nice,
to,
but not everyone gets that.
Yeah, but not everyone has those connections, you know, to help them sort of, you know, go. You know, go into other places.
And that's the point that Chris made in regards to when this person is there talking about their story and talking about, I'm from this area, and if I made it, they should be making it. It's some of the stuff that you said there, because it's the social network who is around you that is making this thing happen, that supported you through that journey. Yeah. And it's not fair for you to be talking like that without giving context. Yeah. And context is very important because it's through that context that person will be able to say, oh, okay, if he was able to do it, these are certain things around me that will be able to help me to get to where this person got to. But when we're not giving context, and normally on these television networks, it's snippets like, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 5 minutes conversations where everything is just put out there and the viewer is just meant to decipher what this person actually meant. That, I came from this, whatever, without giving it that context. So it's important that that context is given, because then it makes you understand how you could fit yourself in that context. Do you get what I mean?
Can I add this? What would you guys say to this? What is the modern black men moving forward in few years' time down the line?
What it would be like?
It's hard to say.
because this media and these young teenagers right now, for example, I'll give you an example. When you're walking down the road, like our generation, we look quite young, right?
Not all of us, bro.
No.
I'm
You
looking in
will
the room,
argue, you will argue to a degree. Our generation looks quite young when we we shave our beard off or whatever.
I
Right?
don't know, man.
And then
You can't say that
No,
because the perception you have of yourself.
no, I'm
Finish your
getting there. I've got a brother that's 18 years old. He's tall. It looks like as if he's older than me. He's the oldest one, and I'm the younger one. Do you understand?
I just feel old people always say stuff like that. Man.
No.
No.
No, I'm saying this. Wait.
I'll let you finish your
There
point.
is
But there is a point of old
No.
people.
but
We're
you might
in
be
our
put back.
30s,
They
so
might
we're
be put
talking
back.
about
They
that,
might
saying
be
that.
put
No,
back.
we say that to make ourselves feel better. Oh, we still look young.
Yeah,
we
but
can still feel.
The reason why I'm saying that,
Yeah, go on,
you've
go on.
got young girls that are 18, 21 years old that looking 30 years old. That's a different topic.
Yeah, but
we
as
can
you
talk
said,
about
you've got
that.
18-year-olds that looking like 30
That's
years
what
or
I'm
so.
trying to
That are
say.
guys.
So my question was, in the next few years, what is the modern black men, it's going to look like? I mean,
Yeah, but
in that
I think
kind
how
of,
you got to this question is a bit.
Yeah,
because
what I would do is I draw it in and say, what is the perception today? What is the portrayal
That's what I'm
today?
saying, you still
That we still need to answer that question.
Well-
today.
It's just the development of where.
No, I think that the portrayal today is a portrayal that has been there historically from a while, and it's a portrayal of things that have been put out there in a negative way. But I feel like in regards to where we are now, I feel like there are people, especially in the UK, I can only talk about the UK. I guess there are other people that are on social media that might be able to tell me what is going on in America, even though I follow that. I might not be able to think. But I feel like in the UK, there are a few people that are putting their voices out there and are stepping up to say certain stuff how it is. Because the reason why I use Raheem Sterling, I never really used to like that guy. The guy played for Liverpool, he plays for Man City, I support Man United. So it makes no sense. Other than him being a black man, it made no sense for me to like a player. Because just looking at it from a football term. But what he started saying in regards to certain stuff that I'm seeing, and I'm thinking, if I had that platform, I would be saying that. I started to think, this is really good. And I feel like, in regards to, just coming back to your point, future and how the future looks like, and this is how it looks like in my head, and this is where the fairy tales and the dreams come in anyway, right? I see the future being that if we do what we are meant to be doing regarding representation, regarding correcting people when they are going along these borderline racist jokes and stuff, and I think I was talking to, I guess you might come across as that hypersensitive black man, that cannot even take a joke. And there are consequences, disadvantages to this, whatever not. But I believe that will pave a way for a young black man to wear their hair any way that they like, to even have a gold tooth if they wanted to, because it's fashion. It doesn't necessarily mean that I've been gangbanging, even though you could say that maybe through that is how you got it in the first place. I don't know. I'll leave that out there. So a young black man, I think the identity becomes quite important, and I feel like the future for the young black man or for representation, I feel like men that they know their identity. They have a representation to who they are. They don't need anyone to be enforcing their beliefs, and they believe in themselves truly, like who they are, and comfortable in their own skin. Because I feel like if we are able to break down some of these barriers to entry, because we need to understand everything is a barrier to entry. And you mentioned stuff about university, whatever not. And if you have two people going for a job, they're both university degrees. Both of them have a first class. One of them is black, Apart from being black, he's got his hair whatever way. He's got a gold tooth, right? If you have a white man on the other end interviewing those two, sometimes, unless they have been around people like that have progressed, and they will choose that white person. It's easy. It's an easy thing to say, right? So this is what I mean by that, because then you pave the way for the next generation to be able to be themselves. So when you're looking at that, you're not just looking at them from a perspective of how they look like. You're looking at them in a working environment. Are they able to do their job? Oh, yeah. There was guys that I worked with before that looked like that, they were able to do their job. And these are subliminal decisions that are being made. It's not necessarily that they're going to talk through it. Yeah. And I think for me, just to end this from my perspective, is that when I started working, and some of these role models that I've seen in regards to the career path that I wanted to take, when I got to that, I found out that a lot of them were contractors, right? And then I had to ask myself, why were they contractors? Because it comes to a point that regardless, and this is how I feel personally, because that's when the tokenism comes in anyway, regardless of the job that you are doing, unless you're on that conveyor belt to be that token black man for that company, you might never really get up there and earn those bucks that people are on. So what a lot of black men know is that, you know what, I have the expertise now. And when you go into contracting, it's literally someone's looking at a CV to say, can he do that job? Irrespective of how it looks like. Yeah. Can he do that job? Yes, he can. Yeah. He's competent. Yeah. I'm hiring him. Yeah. That's what you find out in the environment that I'm in. Yeah. A lot of people that are like business analysts, product owners, a lot of them are black men. Yeah. And they are earning backs because when you get into that field, they have this project that they want to do. Yeah. This guy has the experience. Yeah. We're only paying him for 6 months. We're paying him these big bucks, but he'll come in and do that job. So at that point, that company, they're not looking at all that. Yeah. They just come in and they pay you for that. So this is how, for me anyway, in regards to my career path, that's what you're looking at. Because I don't want to be in a position where you're looking at me saying, oh, does he do this? No. Yeah, just what I could do. Just judge me on what I could do. It just makes it easier for me.
The reason why I asked you that question, the modern black men, in the next few years down the line, and he was highlighting a certain point. I have an issue in that kind of area because this generation right now, children's having children, you know what I mean? And if we as a parent, we are one of the key point to our children for them to progress in life, whereby we're the influencer, we are the supporter, we are everything, whereby to neutralize them for them to become in that perfect area. So if we don't educate them now, as we're getting old, as they're growing. For example, I was in a show about depression. That's another topic because black people community do not talk about depression. So
black people don't get depressed.
That's the thing. You can say that, but they do.
I'm only joking.
Yeah. Right. So depression. So this black kid, she's 5 years old, and this black kid was 5 years old, and then what happened was that the kid was in school. One of her friends didn't invite her to their party, and then the kid say to the black kid, because you're black, that's why I didn't invite you. And then the dad now, which he's black, and his wife is black as well, he stood for the 5 years old and sat her down and said, no, I'm going to support, and then make sure that the kid was disciplined, even expelled from the school. So first of all, the dad has become a role model from that kid, being a 5 years old. For that daughter, seeing that all throughout her life, she's going to be very confident in anything that she's going to do. She's going to say, okay, my dad's got me, I've got family that's going to support me, so I'm going to strive. And that's what I meant by the black man in few years' time down the line. We as a parent, we have the key point. I understand most of the time that the teachers have most of the time our children. But when they come back home, we need to educate them thoroughly, make them understand. They need to be confident. They need to know that they can achieve anything that they want. They need to understand that they are strong. They need to understand that they are loved, which is very important. They need to understand that you got family that is there for you. You understand?
I understand what you're saying. Obviously, it's about, I guess we're at a time, where there have been so many different events, I guess, that have struck, the black community for such a long time, that we've learned from those experiences, and we've learned from those experiences to know better and know more to sort of educate our children and obviously bring that within the household. Yeah. I mean, what I wanted to do now is, I think we've had quite a bit of a discussion about, the portrayal of the modern black man in society. I hope we've answered that question. I'm not entirely sure if we have, but I wanted to sort of wrap things up by sort of just getting, a view from everyone as to what they think today the portrayal of the modern black man is within society, just in a few lines. I'll start with you, Ali.
To sum it up for me as a modern black man is the challenges that we're going through, what the media is expecting from us, and how we should portray it. Henceforth, reason why we are discussing this as a community, and hopefully there's more to come, and hopefully there's more to understand what individual as a black man we should do, how we should respect, how we should care about one another, how we should raise our voice, and how we should be confident in any environment that we are in. We shouldn't be fear in a sense of any challenges. I don't think it's right. I mean, I don't think it's wrong not to be fair of it. There's no need to be fair, because you shouldn't. You should have that understanding to say, if something is wrong, the moral part of it, if something is wrong, it's wrong. If something is right, it's right. That's what I think.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Chris, what do you think?
I feel like the connotations are still relatively negative compared to other races in society. I feel like it's gone better from obviously centuries ago. It's getting better every step of the way, because we're all trying to, well, not all, but some of us are actually trying to make a dent in that negative image that's been put out there. So I feel like there is going to be, even if it's a small amount of us, it's going to get larger and larger, that we're going to go against the grain of what's actually put out there of us. I feel people need to start trying to work together, but obviously self-awareness and self-improvement of themselves is key first. So obviously you play your part as a black person, improve yourself, and then obviously you can help improve others in your community, something like what Nipsey did. And yeah, so you do that. He for me, he was in modern times the best example in pop culture. Yeah. We would say Nipsey because he promoted self-awareness, self-improvement of himself, and then leading by example, coming from especially a negative background. Yeah. Do you understand? And then showing others, well, this, and he showed that he was still in those communities. That's what I meant earlier, where you're show us a realistic way of how you can do it. Yeah. He showed you, he was still in the community actively, and obviously that's eventually what ended to his demise, but he was actively showing you step by step how to come out from that. And that's why I feel like that's where the future lies. I feel like there's going to be a lot more Nipseys now, not just because of what we heard about Nipsey, but just even generally, there was a lot of Nipseys in the community, but obviously we don't all rap. Do you understand? We don't all rap, we don't all sing, we don't all play football. There's a lot of Nipseys, but a lot of things is, as well, because of how society is, there's a lot of silence as well, because people are scared. They don't have the platform to talk how they want to talk and say what they really want to say. But I feel like day to day, I see a lot of Nipseys out there. They'll see a young youth doing stupidness, and they would actually pull them up and say to them, like, yo, fix up. Because they know that. Do you get what I'm saying? So to me, there's neighborhood heroes. Mm-hmm. But people don't want to talk about that. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, there's everyday neighborhood heroes, and there's a lot of Nipseys. So that's for me. That's for the future. That's what I'll see what's going to happen. Anyway, that's me.
Kodge, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think I'll add to Chris's raised some really relevant points there. I think for me, it just starts with a sense of identity. I think in regards to moving forward or the future, I feel like black people need to be comfortable in their own skin. Yeah. They need to be comfortable in that. And I say that in every walk of life. I also feel like in regards to conversation and looking for this hero to bond us together, I just always feel like it starts with you. And I think some of the stuff that Chris has touched on, it starts with you in your environment. How can you impact that environment? That's very important. And I always feel in regards to the black people that get to a position where obviously it's like you could afford to buy a house and move out there, whatever. No, I think it then goes back to this whole Nipsey thing. A lot of the times we complain about gentrification and all that type of stuff. But the first time that a black man gets money, they move out of that certain area because that area, he's got knife crime or whatever. No, and it's almost like you have to give something in order for it to improve. If you live in an area and you don't give nothing back, and I feel like our generation, there's no excuse because we've gone through it, yeah? We know how some of these things can transpire. We know right? And if you're not giving nothing back, all you do is that you're on social media giving commentary about how bad it is, about how this.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Do you ever give any time for these youths? Do you ever do anything? Like, what are you doing? So I feel like in regards to what the future looks like, I just feel like it starts with ourselves. First, identity, because you need to know yourself, because you are going to get challenged.
Yeah.
There will be barriers.
Yeah.
There will be all sorts. You standing up for that job that is executive made and you trying to challenge it means something for your career, whether you like it or not, right? So, of course, you have to find ways to deal with this. But I feel like in our careers, we've been dodging and diving anyway in order to fit in order to progress. So this shouldn't be any different. You just have to know how to do that. So that's what I would like to leave on this topic, really. Okay,
all right. I agree. I think it does start with a real sense of identity. Starts with you being sort of confident in who you are, you know, how you represent yourself, and you know, much of that could be down to, you know, your culture, obviously, you know, your physical sort of appearance as well, and at the same time, your environment. So, you know, because obviously for many people, you're a product of your environment. So it's obviously when you do leave that environment and you're placed into another sort of environment, whether it's a professional working environment or a different sort of social setting, I guess it's having confidence in yourself to sort of assert yourself in those situations, not feel, and you know, and Ali, you mentioned a good point about being fearless as well. There has to be a certain level of fearlessness, because without that, then I think it's that fear that, you know, when you touched on, Kodge, is that certain people, once they do get money, then they move out of the community and they leave that community. You know, they don't necessarily give back.
They appear on TV talking about that.
Yeah, and I think that comes with fearlessness. You know, I think that comes with a certain level of fear. You know, they're in an area where they think is completely, you know, it's bad. They don't necessarily want to stay there. They've taken something from it in terms of their experience, but as far as they're concerned, it's something that they want to leave behind and not ever revisit.
That's it.
To add to quickly just with what Camise is saying with the word fear and fearlessness, that's a very important point, because as a black person, fear has been used against us to control us. Yeah. So no matter how you see it, every black person, to be successful in life, will have to be at some point be fearless. Yeah. Yeah. No matter what, if it's in the hood, socially, or at work, there's going to be a breaking point where you're going to have to be fearless and say, all right, for me to elevate, I'm going to have to let go of everything and be fearless, because fear will overcome you, actually suppress you. So you have to, at one point, be fearless.
Okay, until next week, that's the Perspective Podcast.
Perspectives, different views, one voice.